Good afternoon. You're watching KTN Newdesk. My name is Najma Ismail. Nakuru health workers have called off their 4-day strike after signing a deal with the county government. Now, the deal was signed during a meeting between union representatives and county government officials. Those returning to work are nurses, but doctors are, however, still on strike. The strike has seen many patients in public hospitals suffer, with some of them detained inside the public facilities because they had not paid their bills. KTN's Kamche Menza now joins us by way of phone from Nakuru. Kamche, if you can hear me, kindly tell me what exactly were the terms of the return to work formula.
Thank you so much, Najma. So here we understand that the return to work formula was signed between the county government and the Kenya National Union of Nurses in the presence of the Kenya National Union of Nurses, the Secretary General, Seth Anyako. And the terms of the return to work formula is that the issue here was promotion and arrears, and what has that there are 1,700 health workers or the nurses who had applied for the promotion, and it says that they will be given the promotion from September, October, November, December 2016, and January 2016, of which the effective date for their arrears of the promotion first of July 2015. So some of the other health workers under the ESP program and the PSC list have been told that they will receive their arrears of all employees who have been promoted on the various dates, which shall be effective from the month of September 2015. So this is something that the nurses have agreed. But according to the doctors' union, they say that this is not what they wanted, and that they're still calling on for their strike, because the main issue here was the promotion, which they wanted to be dated back to the date when they were given the promotion, and that is not what the county government wants to do. So that has been the bone of contention between the county government and the health workers, and the nurses have agreed on that. Doctors have, however, refused.
Kamche, the nurses also wanted improved working conditions. Was that addressed also?
That one has been addressed. It has been one of the issues or other grievances that have been raised over a number of years for the 7 strikes that have been experienced in the whole country. And that according to the union, is not majorly the issue, seemingly that it has been addressed so far. The major issue was about the promotion, delayed promotion, and the arrears and the payment of missing allowances.
Maybe, Menza, if you could tell us what was discussed in the meeting this morning. Are you aware of the nitty-gritties?
About the nitty-gritties, not exactly, Najma, but bearing in mind that the main issue was promotion and the allowances and the arrears, then that must have been the main issue that was discussed there, because that's what had taken the health workers on strike.
Yes. And
yes.
Kamche, do you know the fate of the patients at the public hospitals? I believe some of them were being held because they couldn't pay some of the doctor's fee, the hospital bill.
So we kindly recap your question,
the fate of the patients in the public health facilities. Some of them were being locked because they could not pay the hospital bills. What is their fate right now? Will they be...
Their fate right now, Najma, I want to imagine it is the same, because the whole of the morning, the return to work formula once the health workers go back to work by 2 afternoon. And by now, we are like that probably the nurses have not gone back to the hospital, so chances are high that the situation is still the same until the nurses are back. And these people there, they were lacking drugs, they were complaining of poor food. Most of them are the victims who had been involved in accidents, and they were undergoing treatment. But since the fact they had not received any dressing probably of their wounds, they had not, they were immovable in a way that because their legs were not visible to them. So up until now, what we will be keeping up with the hospital from 2, and then see what exactly is happening. Maybe the nurses have gone back, probably have a word from those who have been affected, and maybe tell us what they are experiencing now.
Thank you, Menza. Just before I let you go, have you managed to talk to any health worker there, and what are the sentiments of the workers?
We have not met the health worker apart from the nurses union that was in the meeting, and they were saying they're okay and they will go back to the hospital. However, there is a request from the nurses that no nurse or other health worker should be victimized. The one who participated in the strike, no worker should be victimized after the strike has called off.
Thank you very much. Kamcha Menza there telling us the health workers called off their 4-day strike and most of their concerns have been addressed. Moving on now to the now heated debate on the Kenya-Uganda so-called sugar deal. Some members of parliament from central Kenya have defended the sugar deal between Kenya and Uganda that it was signed by President Uhuru Kenyatta during his trip there last weekend. This is after opposition members from CORD and leaders from Western Kenya accused the president of sabotaging the local sugar industry by signing the deal which will see Kenya import sugar cheaply from Uganda. The MPs from Kiambu, Muranga and Nyeri said that the East African trade policy allows for the imports and exports of commodities.
The deal that is there with the issue of the sugar. Why would we go and buy sugar from Brazil instead of our neighbor? Enough is enough. Wacha kutuweka vidole kwa macho, hatutaki.
Lakini nataka nimwambie, hata yeye anajua ukweli. Brazil na hapa Uganda, Brazil ni mbali. Na sisi tunasema you love your neighbor as you love yourself. Uganda wananunua vitu yetu, tunawauzia. Na hakwenda huko kusema mnaweza kununua chukari yao, makosa iko wapi?
Let's stay with that debate on the sugar deals. This morning, the Industrialization Cabinet Secretary had indicated he would clarify some of the issues that have caused confusion in the Kenya-Uganda deal on sugar. KTN's Patrick Amimo has been with the Cabinet Secretary. Patrick Amimo, if you can hear me, kindly tell us what was discussed.
Thank you, Najma. Indeed, the Cabinet Secretary for Industrialization, Adan Mohammed, has defended this government deal to import sugar from Uganda despite the strong opposition coming from MPs from the former Western Kenya region, who think that that deal will really jeopardize the stability of the sugar factories in that particular region. Adan said that Uganda is part of the East African Common Market, and what Kenya did is that because Kenya is a sugar deficit country, and in case of any import, then it will give first priority to countries in the East African Common Market, and Uganda is part of it. So if there is other than importing sugar from Brazil, then they will give Uganda first priority. If then Uganda cannot meet it, that's when they can go out to other regional markets like Omesa. He says that Uganda imports a lot of goods from Kenya. There's that trade imbalance between Kenya and Uganda. It's in favor of Kenya in that we export more goods to Uganda compared to what we buy from Uganda. So he thinks, he says that this sugar deal is one way of at least trying to balance that trade between Kenya and Uganda. The minister also says that the other issue that aids the local sugar factory is that most of those that are government-sponsored are operating inefficiently. That's why they cannot be able to meet the local demand in the market. And he says the solution would be to privatize these sugar mills. Najma?
Amimo, I believe there has been confusion on the sugar deal, whether it was signed or not. Some CSs were saying that nothing was signed, it was just an MOU. Are you able to clarify that?
Indeed, the minister says that there was talk to that effect that Kenya should, Ugandan sugar could be sold into the Kenyan market. So the cabinet secretary has confirmed that deal is on, and Uganda is free to export its sugar surplus into the Kenyan market, given that it's part of the East African Common, is a member of the East African Common Market and a country of the East African Community. So he says the other nations that may be just about how to ensure that contraband goods or those sugar barons don't import sugar either from Brazil or rather regional markets, maybe like a country like Egypt, which has which produces sugar cheaply coming into the country in the guise of through Uganda. He says that will be a matter, if such suspicions are on, it will be a government-to-government talk to ensure that such malpractices do not occur. But on whether we have strict policies which can ensure that we check on people importing cheap sugar into the country, maybe through Uganda or even Tanzania as a member of the common market, he was not very, very clear on what measures the government would put in place to ensure that such malpractices do not occur, apart from saying that it would be a government-to-government talk.
Amimo, the sugar farming in the country supports so many people, especially from the western region. The western MPs have been very vocal about this because cane farmers are mostly from that area. What do they stand to lose, the cane farmers in western region?
Indeed, it is a very tricky matter, given that like the leading industry, sugar miller in Western Kenya, Mumias, the other day we saw the president trying to bail it out with 1 billion shillings, which money is yet to be paid to those farmers. Because from what I understand, having talked with some of the MPs from that region, they say that that list has to be cleaned up fast, because they say there are some fake farmers who want to be paid. So that list has to be scrutinized to ensure that before the payments are done, they are paying genuine farmers. But now, when it comes to the sugar industry, then it means that we need to have at least very, very tough measures put in place to ensure that these factories are protected. Because looking at sugar from Uganda, if it's coming into the country cheaply, then and our local factories are not protected, then there's a serious danger that they might collapse. And maybe that's why I think there is that option where now the government is thinking to privatize these mills in order to let them be managed independently by private millers. Because according to the CS Aden Mohammed, he says that private millers have shown that they can produce sugar more efficiently compared to those that are government funded.
Amimo, before I let you go, the Western leaders wanted to know the details, the nitty-gritties of that deal. Did the CS manage to give the details in the briefing?
The CS was not very, very open on some of those issues, other than saying that we should allow trade between Kenya and Uganda to flourish. MPs from the Western region, remember, they were invited yesterday at the State House, and they snubbed the meeting.
Yes. Because
it's a very, very sensitive issue, and those sugar farmers, those who depend on sugar as their source of livelihood, are looking at the members of parliament to see what direction they are going to take. And maybe one of the things that inform these MPs would be that if they will go to State House, then it would mean that they were attempting to cut some deal with the government. You see, it's a matter that is dividing both the government, the government side and the opposition are divided over this particular issue on how to handle it.
Thank you very much. Patrick Amimo will be giving us details on that in our subsequent bulletin.